You already know this story. A baby is born to a mother who cannot keep him. In secret, she weaves a little basket out of reeds, waterproofs it with tar, lays the child inside, and sets it adrift on a great river, praying that someone, somewhere, will find him. Someone does. He's raised by a humble stranger, far from the halls of power he was born beside, and he grows up to change the entire world. You think this is the story of Moses. It is not. This exact story was carved into clay more than 1,000 years before anyone had heard of Moses, and it's about a different abandoned baby, pulled from a different river by a gardener. His name was Sargon, and what he grew up to build was something no human being had ever created before: an empire. This is the story of the first time one man ruled the world.
For 13 episodes, the political map of the world has looked the same: city-states. Little independent worlds, Uruk, Kish, each with its own king, its own god, its own patch of river. They fought, they traded, they conquered each other now and then, but the basic unit was always the single city. Will Durant tracked how, again and again, ambition tries to reach beyond the city wall. And around 4,300 years ago, one man finally did it. Not by uniting a few neighbors, but by swallowing them all into a single realm ruled from the top. To understand why that's a revolution, you have to see where he started, at the absolute bottom.
The legend goes like this, and the tablets tell it in Sargon's own voice. "My mother was a high priestess," he says. "She conceived me in secret. She bore me in secret. She set me in a basket of rushes and sealed the lid with tar. She cast me upon the river, and the river did not sink me. The river carried him instead to a man named Aki, not a king, not a noble, a gardener, a drawer of water, who dipped his bucket into the Euphrates and lifted out a future emperor." So Sargon grew up with dirt under his nails, tending someone else's plants and hauling someone else's water. From there he climbed into the palace of Ur-Zababa, king of the city of Kish, as the royal cupbearer, the servant who stands at the king's elbow, close enough to power to taste it. And then, somehow, the record goes silent on exactly how he took it. Here's the tell, and it's delicious. We call him Sargon, but that wasn't his name. Sargon is the Akkadian Sharru-kin, and it means the king is legitimate, the true king. Think about who needs to shout that. Not the man who inherited the throne, the man who seized it. Sargon's very name is a propaganda banner, an ex-gardener insisting to the whole world that his crown was real.
And then he made it undeniable, the only way that counts. He conquered everyone. He marched on Uruk, where King Lugal-zage-si had just gathered a league of cities under his own hand, smashed its famous walls, and, his inscriptions boast, dragged the defeated king in a neck-stock to the temple gate for everyone to see. One by one, and then all at once, the proud ancient city-states of Sumer went under his heel. 34 battles, the inscriptions claim, and he won them all, until he reached the Persian Gulf itself and washed his weapons in the sea. The conqueror's gesture that said, "It is all mine now, from here to the horizon." He built himself a brand new capital, Agade, Akkad, a city so completely erased by time that archaeologists have never found it. The seat of the world's first empire is still out there somewhere, under the mud of Iraq, waiting. But quick, honest caveat, because it matters. That vivid basket story? We only have it from tablets written more than 1,000 years after Sargon lived. It's legend, royal mythology polished by later kings who wanted his shine. The empire, though, is rock-solid history.
So what exactly did Sargon invent? Not conquest. People had been conquering each other forever. He invented something more durable and more dangerous, the machinery to hold conquered lands together as one state. Before him, if your city beat another city, you looted it and went home. Sargon didn't go home. He installed his own governors in every conquered city, trusted men, many of them his own kin. He spread his own language, Akkadian, across the whole territory, until it crowded out the local tongues in the written record. He kept the world's first standing army. One inscription brags that 5,400 soldiers ate bread at his table every single day. Warriors on permanent payroll, ready to march at dawn. And he yoked together two different worlds, the rain-fed farmlands of the north and the canal-fed south, into a single administration answering to one man. That's the leap. That's the difference between a raid and an empire. The empire stays. And that idea turned out to be one of the most contagious in all of history. Every empire that followed, Babylon, Assyria, Persia, Rome, the Mongols, Britain, is running a version of the operating system Sargon wrote first. Now, historians will rightly push back on the word first. Lugal-zage-si had briefly yoked cities together just before him. So let's be precise. Sargon built the first empire in the full sense, big, centralized, multi-ethnic, and built to last.
And last it did, for about a century and a half, because Sargon also, unintentionally, invented one more thing, the imperial collapse. Around 4,150 years ago, the world's first empire fell apart. Nomads called the Gutians poured down from the Zagros Mountains and overran it. Barbarians at the gate, end of story. Except it isn't, because when modern researchers pulled climate records from the region, they found something chilling. A brutal drought, lasting not years but generations, struck at exactly the moment the empire died, part of a global disaster we now call the 4.2 kiloyear event. In the soil from those decades, archaeologists found wind-blown dust where farmland used to be. The fields failed, the cities starved and emptied. The Sumerians blamed the gods. A bitter poem, the Curse of Agade, curses the city so its fields grow no grain and its rivers no fish. We might blame the climate. The honest answer is probably both. A drying, overstretched empire that then shattered under invasion.
So Sargon leaves you with two inventions, and they arrive together like a warning wrapped around a gift. The first is the empire, the dream that a single authority can hold a whole diverse world together, feed it, protect it, unite it under one law and one tongue. Almost every large state you have ever lived in is a descendant of that dream. The second invention is the fall, the discovery that the bigger and more centralized you build, the further and harder you have to drop, and that even the mightiest empire can be brought down by something as unglamorous as the rain not coming. An abandoned baby in a basket became the master of the world, and then the world he made turned to dust in a drought. And both halves of that story have been repeating, on a loop, for 4,000 years. Which raises the question the next great Mesopotamian would try to answer. If an empire can't hold together by force alone, if the strong man always dies and the armies always fade, then what can hold it? What could bind millions of strangers more firmly than a sword? One king in Babylon thought he had the answer, and he wrote it in stone.
Next time on Civilization OS. Centuries after Akkad crumbled, a new power rose on the Euphrates, Babylon, and a king named Hammurabi, who understood something Sargon never quite did, that the deepest way to rule people is not to conquer them, but to give them rules. The same law for everyone, carved where all could see it. We met his famous phrase already, an eye for an eye. Now we meet the man, the code, and the empire of law. Next, Hammurabi.